Do you want to learn how to take your calisthenics to the next level? Then I'm going to start introducing you to the power of resistance bands. So for most people, when they think of resistance bands in calisthenics, they think of it mainly for people learning how to do the pull-up and the dip. And they are a really, really powerful tool at doing that, and there are a lot of benefits in doing that. The main reason for it is that you're actually learning the form, you're going to start getting better at the technique, and normally if you get yourself a set of them, you can progressively move from a thicker band to a thinner. And the reason why that works is a thicker band will assist you more, meaning that the sort of help that you are given means that there's less load on the muscles, but obviously your muscles aren't strong enough. The more you do them, you get stronger, you can then move to a thinner band, and then you start doing the same amount of movement. There's more tension or more load on the muscles. Your muscles have to work harder to do the same movement. And obviously once you get efficient with this sort of band, you can then move to a thinner band. And again, as you progress down, more of the load, more of the movement is being done by your muscles, and then you progressively get stronger to the point where you're able to do it on your own. So when it comes to something like the dip, a traditional way of doing it is we'll put the bands on here, and then I put my knees inside, and then I go up and down. And like I said, I'm getting efficient. I'm starting to learn the movement, body positioning, how to push, how to find that form, that technique that allows me to do it safely and properly. And obviously the band there assists you. The problem is with bands is that they can help you the most when you least need it, or they help you the least when you need it the most. And this can sometimes be a potential con to resistance bands. But overall, I think resistance bands are a really, really handy tool when it comes to, say, learning something like the dip. When it comes to the pull-up, people tend to struggle with the pull-up as well. They tend to start with a thicker band because, again, we're moving our whole body weight and it's a challenging exercise. And they'll pull it down, put maybe their knees through it, and then they come down and they're pulling up and down. And it's a really, really handy tool to use because now I'm able to learn the pull-up form. So similar to the dip is that there are different progressions when it comes to the pull-up. One of them will be inverted rows, to sometimes getting right under the bar and doing jackknife pull-ups, using your legs to assist you, to negatives and stuff. All of them are really, really handy, but the nice thing about doing the banded one is we are actually doing the proper form. And we can learn to train our central nervous system, learn the form and the technique, and that again, that's how we can dramatically increase our strength. And obviously, as I get stronger and hit a certain rep count, I'll move to a thinner band, and then that band will assist me less and less and less till I can get to the point where I can do it on my own. But the problem in this situation is, for anyone that struggles in the top position of the pull-up, the resistance band isn't going to be helping much. When I stretch this, it wants to return to its original position. So it's in this position here, at the very, very bottom, it really wants to spring me up. So in some cases, a potential con could be is that it helps me maybe too much to a degree. And again, maybe using a different band, making sure you have the right band selection can be really beneficial here. But now it's helping me a lot down here. And as I come up and get to the top position, it's not really helping me too much here. So I have to really do that extra work at the top. So for any of you that are kind of using bands and you're finding that, then one way to get around that is do your banded pull-ups. Make sure you have the right band to assist you, so it's not doing all the work for you. Like this obviously would be far too much work for me, but make sure you pick the right band selection. And obviously to couple with it, make sure you do your sort of jumping negatives to work that top position. And the two together will build you up. And as you get stronger, move to a thinner band and increase your negatives. But that's how we use bands to help us when we're not strong enough. What do we do if we want to make our calisthenics exercises harder? Well, traditionally when we're doing calisthenics, we move into progressive calisthenics, which can be either using leverages. So again, where we sort of say if you're doing like a planche push-up, you move your hands further down. It creates more of a torque at the shoulder. So now you have to work harder to be able to do the same movement. Or we move to unilateral work, whereas traditionally we'll do a 2-arm push-up. Now we move to 1, or the 2-arm pull-up into the 1-arm pull-up. Or we move into something like weighted calisthenics, where we just use a weighted vest and we start loading weights onto us to get progressively stronger. However, if you don't want to go down any of those routes, resistance bands can be a really, really good tool. And I'm going to show you how you can do that now. So when it comes to something like the pull-up, we can use a resistance band by simply just creating an anchor point. I mean, I've got a kettlebell here, but if I wanted to, I could probably attach it to the end of this frame, but anything where you can safely attach this to. And now, if I stand inside, put this on, I now have to do that same movement, and I'm now pulling against a band. So obviously, especially if I get to the top, I've really got something actively pulling me away. So if you want to try and learn chest to bars or get better at chest to bars, or add in pauses, this is dramatically going to make the exercise far more challenging. And again, I can make it harder either by, let's say I wrap this round and now I'm lengthening it. So if I try pulling this up now, that is far more harder. And if I now got to fight against that, that ends up being far more challenging. Or I can just move to a thicker band. So now these resistance bands, not only do they make my pull-up harder, but now I've got a way to create progression overload when it comes to them. So either keep using the same band and progressively make it more stretched by wrapping it round, whatever you're using, that's gonna make it harder, and then I can move to a new band. And obviously I highly recommend getting yourself a set. I've got a set of Gravity Fitness ones. I'll leave a link to it in the description below or the pinned comment down below. A set of 4, about 35 quid, so it gives you plenty of progression there. So I can now take my pull-ups to the next level and make them far more challenging and keep building muscle and getting stronger while still doing the same movement. When it comes to the dip, I've seen one way of doing it and it doesn't look too good. And that'd be where people will wrap it around their neck and they'll start trying to do that. I don't recommend it because now you're craning your neck. What you want to do, create a figure of 8 and then put your arms inside of it. So now you can try and create a holster. As you can see here, I probably double wrapped it, but it doesn't matter. If I double wrap it, it makes it more harder. But now I've got a bit of a holster thing going on. Okay, so now when I want to do my dips, put my hands inside, get them now, push them down, and now I've got to do dips that as I get to a certain point, progressively get harder because I'm having to stretch the band. So not only am I lifting my weight, I'm now having to stretch that band. So for any of you that really want to strengthen your lockout position, this is a fantastic tool, but just in general, this is going to make your dips harder without you having to move to weighted calisthenics, something as simple that you can carry in a backpack. But it doesn't stop there. Again, if you want to make your push-ups harder, you've probably seen them before where people will wrap it behind their back. Sometimes it'll be easier again, wrap it in a figure of 8 so it actually sits in your back a bit more evenly. And then you'll be here against the thing and then you're pushing there. And obviously you can move to a thicker band and then you're having to push not only your body weight, but obviously you've got to push against the band. And again, you might be able to create a bit more of a stretch in it or move to a thicker band to make it more challenging. If you find it too easy, move to a thinner band. That's the great thing about getting yourself a set is you've got different progressions because obviously each movement is going to be slightly different. However, again, if you want to then make something like leg exercises more harder, I've got a base bench here. I do have a review of it on my channel, but if you don't have something like this, all you need to do is just find something that you can anchor the resistance band to, somewhere safe so it's not gonna like flick up or hit you. And then you pull this up. And obviously, for something like this, when I'm moving to unilateral work, again, having one on either side would make it a bit more balanced, but again, that will mean that you have to work your core more because now it's going to be trying to actively pull me down here. So again, I now have to work my core to be able to do that. But now I can do this movement, and as I come down and as I come up, my muscles progressively have to work harder to be able to fight the resistance of the band. Again, a lot of people will find calisthenics bodyweight leg exercises far too easy. This now makes it more challenging. But what you can do, and another way of basically using these bands to help with your calisthenics is sometimes people might need a little bit of isolation work. So for instance, if you find that your biceps are weak or you want to strengthen them so you can improve your pull-up, again, you can stand on these and do your bicep curls. If you're finding your triceps are weak and your lockout for maybe the handstand push-up or the dip, we can now do tricep extensions. If you want to get some more overhead work, again, stand on these bands and now we can press them overhead and get some shoulder pressing movement. Again, if you're finding that you're struggling with the handstand push-up or the pike push-up, this will allow you to get some extra work in there. If you want to, I mean, if you don't have access to doing inverted rows, but inverted rows also be better, you can stand on these and then you can use them to do an inverted row. You can even use them to stand up to do a deadlift, to even pressing them up here and then using them to do a squat. So not only can they assist you if you're finding certain calisthenics exercises too hard, but you can also use them to take your calisthenics training to the next level. And like I said, if you get yourself a set, they create the progression for you. And you can either make them more stretch and that makes it even harder, or move to a thicker band. So they are very, very versatile. don't cost a lot of money, and take up very, very little room. So I highly recommend getting yourself a set. Like I said, details of that will be in the description or the comment section down below. But let me know what you guys think. Have you ever used resistance bands to make exercises easier or harder? I've only just recently started using them to make the exercises more challenging. I'm very, very surprised how a small little trick like that can suddenly make an exercise more challenging, and it's probably going to be something I'm going to try and do to step away from a little bit of weighted calisthenics. I might start using the bands a little bit more, but there's so much versatility with this simple bit of kit, so I highly recommend you go and check them out. Guys, if you found the video useful, please give it a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and me using the resistance bands while using calisthenics, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video.